One mark will be vehicle 6.
Comprise of warrior women.
Hi friends, I'm LJ Jarvis, and welcome back to This Jarvis Show.
Greetings everyone, welcome back to On Air with Jarvis, the podcast of all things Warhammer and general stuff I find of interest. Joining me this week is the Kommissar herself, Azura. How's it going, ma'am?
How's it going? I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing all right. I can't complain myself. I've been painting a few miniatures, so that's fun to get back to the hobby. And very recently, I've been reading the Sisters of Battle comic, so that's pretty fun.
Oh, the Marvel one?
Yeah, from Marvel.
Interesting.
Yeah, have you been reading them? Because they're a pretty good read, I would say.
No, I haven't been able to read. I don't generally read most Western comics, unfortunately.
They're a pretty good read, I would say.
It's not like they sell them here. Yeah, they don't really sell them here, so it's kind of hard.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Aw, man, I'm sorry about that.
Yep, the only stuff that I can get are manga.
Of course, yeah.
A lot of manga. Yeah, I mean, Japan is really close. Not really close, pretty close.
Yeah, I saw this maybe Vine or meme. I'm not sure how you would describe it, but basically it's a guy. He's at Barnes and Nobles, and I'm not sure if you know what this is, but it's like an American bookstore. We have them here in Canada as well. And he was doing this thing where he went to this one section that has graphic novels, just like one bookshelf. Then after bookshelf after bookshelf, he was like, and here's manga.
Yeah.
It's a thriving industry, I would say, manga.
Yeah, it is. It is really big here.
And
I also it's been a thing, manga had been really big here since, I don't know, from the 60s, 70s?
I definitely, at least maybe when Dragon Ball Z was, or at least Dragon Ball, when that was a big thing. So perhaps.
Oh, yeah, in the Western world, yeah.
Yeah, so.
It's been yeah.
So at least early 80s, I would say.
Uh-huh.
And hey, maybe down the line we'll get some 40k manga, so maybe that'll be a thing.
Yeah, I really hope that we'll get a 40k-ish manga.
And I think it'll be just funny as hell if it were about the Tao, considering their theme.
I mean, I definitely think it could work, it doesn't have to. I mean, we could go either with the moe stuff, but
Yeah, because
it does make sense. If we go with the hard boil, Hokuto no Ken or JoJo stuff, it does work. We go with more Katsuya Terada or Sutomunihei. So Flame or what's that? Ghost in the Shell thing. Yeah, it could work. Manga is quite, it's pretty wide open. And I would say they could all somehow work with 40k.
Yeah, and the reason why I decided to think it would be funny with the Tao because I can't the YouTube channel that name him Epsilon. Epsilon. I think that's his name. He worked with Bruva Avabuza. He did this short where Commander Farsight's a anime character. It's hilarious. Yeah, so I think it's only appropriate if it was something like that. And because Farsight is sort of like an anime character. He drives a pilot suit. He has a giant sword. That's the definition of manga.
I mean, Kane is also pretty much a manga.
Oh, sorry, what?
Jarvis Kane, hero of the Imperium.
Oh, yeah, Jarvis Kane, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
He has the plot armor.
I mean, it's literally just... it's literally just Tanya.
Yeah, he has the plot armor.
Tanya did a great job. Yeah.
Anyways, for the audience in the back, who may be Azura?
All right. So my name is Kommissar Azura, and I am a
Oh, that's how you say it.
warmonger VTuber. Yes, I'm a warmonger VTuber, and I am part of Wargame Radio, which is a podcast trio that I am currently starting with Renvalia and Mari the Ganger.
And yeah, because I saw the news of the podcast, and I saw glimpses of it Friday, I believe. That's your new podcast you're starting up?
Yep, it is a podcast we are starting up.
Well, awesome, and
As well as like,
oh, sorry.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
I mean, yeah, okay. So as well as being part of Swingtubers.
Oh yeah.
Since that is a thing, yeah, that is a thing. You know,
Going to be part of Idol Month.
aside from Taliba, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's like Taliba, Nana, Koboriva, and as well as myself and a few others.
Awesome. And I do have to ask, VTubing, that became popular around what, maybe 2 years ago when people like Project Melody came into being?
Yeah, I would say that is when it really blew up.
Mhm.
I think I don't think it's 2019. I think it was 2020 or something.
Was it?
It is creeping up though. It was creeping up from 2019, but the whole pandemic situation just made it like blew up.
Yeah, because it was becoming a big industry when people like her were coming around. It's been around for like years, VTubing, but
It's been around since 2014.
Yeah. But
Yeah, Kisunai. Oh my god, I used to watch Kisunai a lot back in those days.
so for you, where did your inspiration for VTubing came from?
Aspiration wise, I think it was just seeing a niche in the market.
Oh, I'm sorry?
I was like, I think I was just seeing a niche in the market because, there is this like up and coming, like, a booming market of VTuber, but there is yet to be one that like specifically about miniature wargaming and like wargaming in general, like, actually playing with the models. So I just like, there is a spot in this thing that I can like break through or something.
Well, that's actually really cool. And here's an actual fun fact. I too was originally going to become a VTuber, but I believe I didn't have the resource at the time. And I was thinking to myself, well, I have a good setup right now. So it's not really something I can, plus it's something I don't believe I can invest in right now. So, but it was a cool idea to think of.
I mean, I basically, like my first model, I drew it myself.
Awesome.
I was originally a 3D artist.
Oh yeah?
Yep, I used to be. I am still part of There's Only War. An Arma 340k mod.
Oh.
So yeah, that's pretty much how it started, I suppose. That's how I managed to like work in a couple of game companies.
Well, that's actually really cool, actually.
Yeah.
But outside of YouTubing, I gotta ask, what was your first exposure to 40K and what made it stand out from any other sci-fi setting?
Okay, so I first played 40K with Dawn of War, Dark Crusade. Yeah, that was the spark of it all. Like I bought a pirated CD in a mall back in like 2006.
Wow.
And then in 2007, I just went to I like when I was going to the mall, like I saw this miniature of the of the game characters I play. Like, oh, there's a game of this, and then like that's how it started.
Well, that's actually really cool. And 2006, I would have been 8 years old at the time, and if I were exposed to something like Dawn of War, I think I would have loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I started like actually collecting in 2007.
Wow.
It was so like for the rest of the world, it had been 5th ed, but because I was in Indonesia, because I am still in Indonesia, we are like behind. We are way behind on release most of the time because there is basically no players.
Yeah.
So I started with like the tail end of 4, technically.
4th edition.
Because we were still using 4th edition rule books for pretty much. And yeah, I don't think we never like fully commit to 5th edition. Like we kind of mix it up because it wasn't really all that dissimilar between 4th edition and 5th edition. But it like 4th edition and 5th edition, you could pretty much mix it up between the other. It only differs when you go to the 6th edition and 7th edition, then 8th edition, and then 9th edition. Like, okay, the change have been really big lately.
Yeah, and here's another fun fact. Actually, the first few codices I ever started collecting when I was getting into Warhammer was from 4th edition.
Ah.
Yeah. So
which one?
Oh, sorry.
So Space Marine. Which army did you first collected?
Well,
the first codex.
Well,
codex you have.
I believe I bought 2 codices that day when I was getting into Warhammer because the guy was selling them for like $5 each, surprisingly. And this was not like when 4th edition was big. This was like 2017, 2018.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, makes sense. Like, oh, wait, why is it so cheap? Oh, yeah, makes sense.
But then again, you would think
after like 10 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. But you would think he would sell them for more money because of how good condition these things were. But the first few codices I actually bought were Chaos Space Marines and Space Marines. Then the day after, I decided to get Oryx and Tau Empire.
Ah, man. Tau back then was used to be like strong back then.
Oh, what? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. No, I just remember Tau used to be like really strong.
Oh, Space Marines?
Tau.
Oh, Tau. Sorry, I did.
No, Space Marine was balanced, like until 8th edition, like the second codex of Space Marine in 8th edition. Before that, like Space Marine used to be like the standard. So like, it's they are not great, but not bad for everything. So like they are like the middle child, I would say.
Yeah, I think this was 4th edition was the time when the people were the people were having like the rightful dislike of Tau Empire, not because of the whole they don't fit in the lore, but because they're just cheap to fight against in the tabletop. You can just shoot the enemy across the table.
I don't find that one to be the issue. I found the battlesuits to be the bigger issue because they used to be able to like jump, shoot, and jump backward again. So like you're pretty much unable to pin them down.
Yeah.
For the battlesuits.
Space Marine with Space Marines with all their armor can't fight against a little blue man. All those years of becoming Space Marines wasted to get one shot.
Yeah, and oh my god, I had a game where a full squad of assault terminators got wiped out by Tau Fire warriors in melee. Yes. Oh my god.
That
It was
sounds
5v5.
That-
It was 5v5 and like I lost 5 terminators.
that's
Oh my god.
that sounds like an epic sight. And oh man. Like I just imagine this like hulking space marine with all this armor and he dies from a Tau warrior. It's like, guys, are we really investing all of our money into space marines and they get killed off this easily?
Yep. Yep. Oh my god.
Oh, that does sound epic. And now for myself, I actually do have a small little Tau force, and more often than not, I play them rather than Space Marines, despite my avatar and all that.
Mhm.
And I think the Storm Surge is probably my most favorite model and something I would always bring because this behemoth of like gunfire. I was fighting like against this one player, right? And he had his 5-man squad of Primaris Space Marines across the table. And with this huge like plasma cannon, I basically almost wiped out the entire squad, and he only had 2 models left. and they had like 2 wounds each.
Yeah. Just apply the macro solution to everything. The macro solution, yes. Okay, so if people doesn't understand macros, the macros, what's called now? What nowadays? Macros missile.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, macros massacre. Okay, that's macros missile massacres. When basically you just shoot every single missile you have
Oh yeah.
into an enemy, like
Oh yeah, on the Storm Surge.
yep. Yes, with storm surge. Just fire all the missiles.
Though what's funny is that I was trying to use those bunch of missiles, but I kept missing. I kept missing their targets. It's like the missiles just fly around the Space Marine. It's like, guys, aim straight.
Yeah. That's the thing that I don't get though from Tau. Because the base standard for shooting nowadays is pretty much 3+, and like I don't get why Tau isn't 3+.
Oh, for
something that's supposed to be like good at shooting.
Yeah, so they should be lower then.
Yeah, they should be 3+ at the very least, instead of 4+ for some reason.
4+? That's pretty high.
Yeah, that's pretty much the ballistic skill for Tau is 4+.
Yeah, so you have to roll 4 above in order to hit the target.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. It's like they should be like.
In what?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, at the very least 3+, right? Yeah.
From 8th edition.
Yeah, pretty much like for 8th edition and forward, like they should be 3+ at the very least.
Oh, because I don't
like they like Tau are supposed to be good at shooting. Why are they bad at shooting?
Yeah, because I wouldn't remember how they were back in 8th edition because it was such a long time ago, and it's been a long time since I played a game, so I'll take a word for it. But speaking of 8th edition Tau more specifically, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on Shao Tsun's new model that came out during Psychic Awakening, while we're on the subject of Tau?
I would say normal, I suppose. I'm like, I don't have any particular complaint about it.
Yeah.
I mean, she still looks like Shiro-san.
Yeah, it almost looks like an update or an upgrade from her old battle suit. It's more like they took the original design, or maybe the Tau Empire in this case, took the original design and give it a 1-up, making it look bigger and have extra limbs to hold the guns and all that. But a week from today, actually, you were from from your Twitch channel, you actually revealed a new sort of outfit for your Kommissar, and it's the one where she's in plate armor. And I gotta say, that's something, that's a cool idea that I'm surprised hasn't been done yet. So congrats on that. It's a really cool design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I designed it, like the concept art myself, and then I like for the actual proper design, like the live 2D model, I had to like commission someone for it, but like the basic, I pretty much did the basic part. I mean, I do have I do have a degree in design.
Well, that's actually very fascinating. So, like, video games, something like that? Because you said something about modding.
Yeah, I am a 3D modeler for a 3D hard surface modeler. So I'm familiar with how it works, pretty much.
Well, that's actually really cool. And I really tried doing something like digital art years ago, back when I was trying to become a like storytime animator, but I was like, you know what, I can't draw on a tablet, and I'm not as good as artist as I thought I was, so it's like, ditch that idea. But I think you're going to be most excited about this news, considering your love for Space Marines.
Oh, no, God, no.
Yeah, I know.
No.
But Black Templars, they're getting a return very soon. What's your opinion on that?
Their necks are really tall.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. No, I'm not going to lift that up.
No, it's like, I can't unsee that now. I can't unsee that. I can't unsee it now since people pointed it out.
I'm like, I don't know. I just wish it's cool that we are getting like more primaries Black Templars. I do like the proportion of primaries. Not so much on the lore, but I do like the models.
They are very pretty, I would say.
Yeah, they are very pretty.
And I will say that Space Marines have kind of sort of lost their charm during the late years of 8th edition, but I think they've been calmed down now for 9th, because, you know, we got a new wave of Necrons, we got new Sororitas, new Orcs are coming soon. Well, at least all of their models, at least. So I think 9th edition is a good addition so far in terms of other factions.
Yeah, I just wish they will update Eldar and Dark Eldar as well.
Though, considering how the Necrons and, again, Sisters and Orcs, considering how they got new waves of new stuff, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that maybe we'll get something cool for the craft worlders. Or at least to me, at least.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
We did get...
It's like...
Oh, sorry.
It's like, oh my God. They haven't had like... the craft worlders don't really have like news. Other than the... What did they got last time? A Banshee and Giant.
Yeah, from 8th edition. Yeah, that's what they got.
Yeah. Pretty much that's it. After like years without any update. Oh my God. Poor craft holders.
And Drukhari, they got something. They got a, if I'm allowed to say it, a unpleasant looking Lilith. That's from, I've been hearing from people.
Yeah.
They gave her pants.
Okay, so here's the thing that I don't get from Lilith. I don't mind the pants that much. I do mind the face sculpt quality. Yeah, like Lilith's supposed to be like, you know, a lot more attractive than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's the... Meanwhile, her model at the moment looks like, you know, it's the face from Sister of Battle, like the really goofy one, and they just added Lilith hair onto it. Like, you know, they could have just used the sculpts from AOS, because they look good in AOS.
They definitely do. And
they always do. God, I don't get GW.
yeah, and that is something I have noticed that when they especially make female models for AOS, they look a lot more prettier than the ones from 40k. Though I guess people will try to say, but 40k is grim dark. Therefore, the ladies aren't on the pretty side. They're grim dark.
Fuck those people.
No, it's like, come on, it's all right to make a pretty lady, guys. We have pretty guys, so let's make pretty ladies.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dusky wasn't so happy about the pants thing though when she was on this show.
Yeah, I mean, like, I prefer her with the battle tongues. You know, her original battle tongues. Like, it's iconic, I would say. Like, the new model kind of like, oh yeah, she's like a generic witch. She doesn't scream, yep, that's Lilith. It's kind of like making Sly Marble, but it's like...
Oh, yeah, it is. It sort of does. Her face, I mean, yeah, it sort of does look like that. Oh, I can't get out of my head now.
Yeah. Yeah, she kind of looked like the new Marble for some reason. Oh my god. Ah!
But outside of things like Black Templars, I remember on your Twitter you were telling a little story about your not Space Marine chapter, because you made clear these weren't Space Marines, but they're more like super servitors, but they sort of look like Space Marines. If I'm right?
Yes. The what do I always mix the name a bit, but I think they are called Everlasting Hosts or Everliving Hosts.
I think it's Everliving.
Something like that. Everliving Hosts, I think.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. So, do you want to tell us more about that? Because I'm interested.
But yeah, so the Everliving Host is basically a pseudo Space Marine made out of like servitors. Like, you know, like the jack up servitors they put in Cataphrons. Technically, they are a Space Marine chapter, but their numbers are a lot bigger than their official number because, you know, they're just fat grown. You can make more because they are just automaton.
Yeah, you can just press print, and in like a day or so, you can get a new Space Marine out of the little bit.
Yeah, Space Marine Gobar. Exactly.
Yeah, just press print. Yeah, but that's actually such a cool idea. And if it weren't the Primaris that could cause Space Marines to rebel, I think it's if this was like a canon chapter, I think people would be like, oh, these are glorified servitors, because I think it's safe to say that everyone in the Imperium of Man would see servitors as something below humans. So if there's something like servitor Space Marines, I think almost every single chapter would find that heretical. And I think that's a really cool idea.
Yep. So that's why they are kind of in secret. And basically, like, they are controlled like you're playing an FPS or like a VR in the lore. So you just attack priest like will go basically using Cogitator and just play, you know, like we're playing Battlefield or Arma, basically.
I haven't played I'll probably get laughed at, but I haven't played a Battlefield game, so.
I mean, I haven't played Battlefield for like, I don't know. I haven't played Battlefield since Battlefield 2. So like all my frame of reference is Battlefield 2. I don't touch EA games for like many years now.
Yeah, that's...
how old was Battlefield 2?
Maybe it'll be like Skyrim. Maybe we'll get another copy of it in a few months.
Okay. No. Oh shit, it's 2005. Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised though if they re-release the game. Because how many times have they released a game of Skyrim?
It's EA. They make new stuff every year. They just change the name, but they just change the number, but it's still technically a new title.
Yeah, that's the thing for me too. I don't really play video games as much as I do anymore, or at least back when I was in high school. I think now because I do YouTube stuff and Warhammer stuff, of course, and of course the factor that I have a actual job, I only play video games like once every few months, like maybe 5 months apart. Because
understandable.
Yeah, because recently I actually finished playing the original Metroid on the NES, so that was pretty fun.
Ooh, yeah, that is pretty fun.
Yeah.
I haven't played Metroid for I think a few years. I haven't played Metroid for a few years.
Yeah, and the game is pretty fun, and from there it only got better with the sequels. There were plenty of times though where I felt like the angry video game nerd, where I was like, "Oh, that's so cheap," and see the password system is horrendous.
Yeah.
But old video games aside, I think it was last week, or at least a week from when we're doing this video, when Games Workshop has finally revealed Warhammer Plus to everyone. So, and they actually had one of their animations up for free and all that. I've heard a few opinions on it. I want to get your opinions on that.
Okay, so from my opinion, oh my god, people are going to be mad at me, but there we go. Okay, so from my opinion, I think I need more. I need more reason. Okay, it's the Hammer and Bolter. The animation is kind of stiff, almost almost PowerPoint basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lack of in between animation.
Yeah,
they are extremely stiff.
Yeah, and that's the main complaint I hear about this first little episode. From what I understand, is from a series. It's going to be part of a series of, or at least one of their series, where it's just a bunch of Warhammer shorts. And I can understand that they want to go with that kind of style. Yet, considering that this is a paid service and this is what you're showing off to everyone, I'm not sure if this gives me the reason, because for something that's going to cost me money, I was expecting more.
Basically, what I had in mind, because oh my god,
well,
the style is, I think the style is too old for the genre.
Oh yeah,
the not the genre, for the animation, for something made in 2020 or 2021, the art style looks like a budget 90 animation. I won't say it's ultramarine bad, but it's somewhere.
Well, I haven't watched the animation myself because I think I've seen too many negative reviews for me to actually give it a chance. But I think the drawing looks pretty, but the actual animation itself, it, like you said before, it does look stiff. And for something from a corporation, you would expect more. And from what I hear, if this was done say by a YouTuber or maybe a few more YouTubers, and they did this for a passion project and put it up on YouTube, I think it would have been a lot more well received. Yet considering this is from a corporation, come on guys, this is the best you can do.
I will say I think I get where they're coming from, the inspiration for it, but yeah, I think it's just done a bit too sloppily. They could add the stiff animation. I know that they're trying to mix a couple of different inspiration, but maybe I think that to focus on the Western references, I'm just seeing Lady, what's it called, Lady Death? Now I'm just oh yeah, have you seen Lady Death? The old
Oh no,
Todd McFarlane, I think.
I haven't seen that. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, whenever I see Hammer and Bolter, like my brain like, oh yeah, I like that kinda, because that was the first Western animation I watched when I was like in elementary school.
What's funny too is that weeks before that, like weeks before this little pilot, Games Workshop actually revealed the first few minutes of Angels of Death. And if I'll be honest, if that was the pilot episode that they aired, I think maybe there wouldn't be so much backlash, because isn't that something they've been talking about for years now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I really like the Angel of Death actually,
oh, sorry.
because we get to see human. No, I really like the Angel of Death because we get to see human crews, like actually human that are not space marine.
Yeah, the human crew on their ship. Yeah.
Yep. Do you know how rare it is for me to get references for it? Oh, good lord.
But I don't know. I don't think I'll give Warhammer Plus a chance, considering everything that's happened and what they revealed and what they want to do. It's more like, you know what? I just have better things to spend my money on. I'm not interested.
I would probably get it in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I would probably get it in half a year. I'll give it about 6 months so I can binge watch, because I prefer to binge watch compared to waiting for each week.
Mm-hmm.
I've done. If I want to watch something each week, I'll just watch anime. I'm really sorry. I'll do the whole thing and just watch anime.
Maybe I'll give it a chance, but they'll have to work really hard to get my interest back, because I don't know. I want to spend my money on something within reason, because I would like to expect some good shows from you guys, especially if I'm paying you.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said give it 6 months, because by then you will have more shows. You will have more shit in the backlog. By 6 months, I don't. You're basically skipping, because we're still getting we're still able to watch the old stuff, right? Because they aren't getting deleted. So we will still be able to watch the new shows as well as the old ones. And that's what I think would be the best course of action.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just never really been into I need to watch this, FOMO isn't really my thing, because if I try to get something from GW, it's going to take at least 2 months for shipping.
Yeah, because from where you are, right?
By the time I get everything, yep, that's because of where I am. Hype is that everything goes for 2 months before I get to see anything.
Yeah, that happens with Ari. I'm pretty sure you know him. He's a artist who sells portraits and all that. He has the same issue. He's from Lithuania, and if he wants to get something from Games Workshop, I think he says it takes a long while for it to actually get there, because there's no real stores.
Yep.
If I believe in Lithuania.
Yep. Yeah. My closest store is in Singapore.
Oh yeah.
It is about 4 hours of flight.
Oh goodness.
So yeah. It's not I can just, I'm going to buy this thing. No, it's going to take a while. Last time I bought something like that, there is a local importer, or a local game store. I think I ordered the new codex for AdMac, and it took something a month, almost a month, before I get to check them out.
Oh goodness.
Yep.
Yeah. For over here though, Warhammer is quite big, and you would find something Warhammer in almost every other hobby store. So at least there's
Ah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
though
It's not a thing here. In Indonesia, in my city at least, in my city, it's like the second biggest city in Indonesia, the most populated as well. There's like literally only 12 people who play 40k. 12!
wow.
And I know every single one of them.
Oh goodness. I imagine Warhammer's like enormous in the UK, considering where the headquarters are.
Yeah, I believe it is pretty big in the UK
But
and US.
yeah, definitely North America.
Yeah, definitely North America.
And here's something that's even more funny. Ever since Games Workshop updated their IP stuff, Battletech certainly became popular.
Yeah, I mean, I have been playing, I've been playing Mech Warrior for longer. Like, I don't know, it's, for me personally, it's just a reactionary stuff. Whenever I like, oh yeah, I'm going to be Battletech, like, it's fine. I'm just like, my biggest issue with Battletech is that they are too skirmish. Like, and it doesn't really involve infantry all that much. I like infantry. Because I play Mech with infantry spam and horse spam.
Well, because I wouldn't know. Like, I never played Battletech before, and the only real exposure that I got with it was a few weeks ago when this whole IP thing happened, and and I believe with Angry Joe, because I think there was a video game about Battletech, wasn't there?
Yep, there are a lot of video games with Battletech. Okay, so you have the Mech Warrior series, you have Mech Warrior Online, you have Battletech that was made by Hardset Labs. I believe there are some others, but yeah, there are a lot more.
What I will say about Battletech is, I don't think I'll get into it because, I'm already invested in a hobby already. But if I could say about the whole IP thing, there's a funny story about that. So the night before, the internet went out in my house, and I was like, whatever, I'll just go into work an hour early and use the internet. The world's not going to change. And as soon as I pull up my Twitter, I get all these notifications. It's like, Games Workshop killed their fan base.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should be more surprised than I am, but no, I'm not surprised.
I mean, it does feel like it's a step back to early 2000s Games Workshop, like when they were really going at it against the community. The reason why we don't get the Inquisitor animation. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that, but I actually made a video about that, and for some reason that gets more views than all my newer works. It's like, guys. But I did watch the update video when the whole thing was happening. Is that I don't think it's because of Games Workshop. I don't think they contacted them.
No, they contacted him. Not to pull it out, but they like basically told him, yeah, you have to work this without any like donation. I guess it was fine for him because he was done himself with a few other people for a few years, because the guy was also in Crytek. But like eventually like, this is not sustainable. So he made his own thing, and then it kind of flopped as well.
Yeah, because from my understanding, he in his update video, he said that he felt like the project was too big and he decided to retire the project. Yeah, like, it sucks, I know, yet I can understand where.
Like, how many years has it been? Like, when I saw it, I was in junior high school.
Yeah.
Like the first video. Like the
exactly.
First.
That was me. That was me. That was me when I was seeing the updates on, or saw the trailer for Lord Inquisitor. And
yeah. Well, I was talking about the first trailer. The first trailer in what like, oh yeah, it was like 2011.
Wow, I was 13 at that time.
Yep.
Goodness me.
I'm pretty sure it was earlier than that though. I'm pretty sure it was way earlier than that. Hey, 10 years? Oh yeah, 2011 apparently.
Yeah, but on the whole IP thing, yeah, I was pretty like nerved when that whole thing was going on, and I was afraid. I was thinking to myself, well, if Games Workshop really is going to try to be that Sue happy, then I might as well try to start another channel for different kinds of content. Not that I would retire my channel, like considering how we are right now and how things are, I don't see a reason why I need to stop making Warhammer stuff. And here's the thing.
Mhm.
Technically on paper they can, but here's the thing. Their fair use laws aside, would they really do something like that? Because really try to poison the soil.
I mean, it depends on how stupid they are, but yeah, I don't think they'll actually do it. I don't think it's unlikely for them to do that.
Yeah, this isn't the first time they tried to bring someone to court that they had no stance on, because if I recall correctly, they tried to trademark the word elf once, and you can imagine how quickly that got dismissed.
Yeah, as well as Space Marine.
Yeah, it was Space Marine. It was Space Marine, yeah. Though I think from a Major Kill video, he said that one time they tried to trademark the word elf, and quickly the court told him, if I'm allowed to swear, told him to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they are using,
Now it's called
elf
with an A.
Elf. Yep, AELF. As well as, Eldari,
Yeah, it's a silence.
Primaries. Assault Militarum, because those are markable.
Yeah, you see their honor. They're not orcs. They're orcs. There's a K.
Yep, and we don't have orcs. We have orcs.
Or Aurochs and AOS, yeah.
Okay. Is it orcs or orcs?
Well, for AOS, or now...
I had always been calling them, yeah. I had always been calling them orcs for some reason.
Yeah, something I can't really get used to. It's like when they now call dwarf Dwarden.
Mm-hmm.
Though...
But, dwarf in Warhammer have always been like legally distinct F instead of V. Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like they're definitely distinctive from, say, Lord of the Ring orcs. So it's not something like Tolkien's son can take them to court for, because they are that distinctive. And
yes, I mean they also produce the Lord of the Ring stuff. Like Game Workshop is I don't think it's irony. It's just it's they are trying not to compete with themselves.
But outside of something like 40K, I'm actually interested to hear on your opinions on something like Warhammer Fantasy and AOS.
I actually like AOS. Surprisingly enough, like the gameplay is pretty fun. The models are gorgeous.
Oh, definitely.
Are dead on gorgeous.
Definitely, the models are beautiful.
Yes, I'm like, what? I just wish like some of the old models for like City of Sigmar, maybe like handgunners will get new models, but it's the chance for it are very unlikely.
Yeah, because I think I know what you're talking about. Like first edition stuff, especially the Stormcast Eternals. If we were to compare them to like the modern Stormcast, there is a huge like difference, because for something like the first edition, I think they were trying to go for like these golem looking soldiers, because they weren't meant to be like male or female. They're meant to be like these suits of armor with souls inside, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
Yet by second edition, they decided to do a different route. They decided to do something where they're these literal reborn heroes given flesh and literally given new flesh and bodies. And because of that, they can do something like male or female Stormcast Eternals. And I think that was a good idea for them. And I think they made some more colorful looking models. And I think that was a good direction. And I think in return, there is a huge like distinction between first edition and third edition.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I will say I prefer from Stormcast to Space Marine is that like I do want female Space Marines. Not because I would like them anymore. Like I would like actually like them, but no, I'm just like it's neat. I don't get why male demographics would rather collecting male models.
That is the
it's that cool. Yeah.
That
I'm fine if you're cutting this out, but like why are people wanting to like watching male bots all the time? Like, are you sure you're still straight?
But
No, cut that out. That is going to be that is going to be.
Oh, come on! Let me keep this.
Controversy.
Come on, let me keep that on. It's funny. Come on.
That's fine. It's fine if you it's fine if you give it in, but it's my honest opinion. Like, why are you acting? Why are you like insisting that you're straight when you're like collecting male models?
I have no words.
Daughter of Cain. Daughter of Cain or collect Sister of Battle if you want to be like a chat Thundercock. Because you're collecting females.
A Space Marine drop pod comes down, it's raining men, hallelujah.
Yeah, it's raining men, hallelujah.
If I could actually give my little comment on the whole thing about female Space Marines, that is a very touchy subject in the Warhammer community. I've done my video on it. I just think that maybe right now, considering with all this Primaris stuff, does there really need to be more Space Marines? In my point of view, at least. Like, considering with all these... sorry.
Here's my opinion on that. Make them an upgrade. Make them like upgrades bro. Not entirely like, oh yeah, these are dedicated female Space Marine models. No, make them like head swap or like different chest plate. We've done that before with like, we have the president in AOS. Just put like female body-ish.
Well, I think for here, sorry if I could say something. When the Cadians, when they got their low upgrades, not new models, but their sprues were upgraded with more heads and more weapons and all that. I think it was a neat little thing that they could do, or something they did for the Cadians. If they didn't have something to invest in a new range of Cadians, then sure, upgrade sprues worked because they were pretty old. I was hoping that they would do something like female Cadian models, like, new sculpts and all that to make them distinctive. Because yes, you could just do new heads, but at the same time, visually, I like the new Stormcast Eternals because there is that distinction that, okay, this is the male Stormcast and this is the female Stormcast, or something like, I don't know if Deepkin and all the other factions within AOS, because it is a new game, they can do stuff like that. They can invest in creating these new matrices. That's
why I said also like torso upgrades. And not just face up head upgrades, but also like torso. It is possible. We've had when the old Space Marine used to be like very very swappable.
Yeah, I can understand that. And, I've seen people do their like conversions and fan arts. It is fun to see people take the dough that is Warhammer and create their own stuff with it. So it's like, when it comes to creativity, go right at it. There's no shackles to hold you down.
Yes, and that is exactly why I got into Warhammer, the creativity. Because making something vanilla is boring. Like, making something vanilla or like following the instruction manual is boring.
Yeah, and it's more like a guideline for what you can create.
Yes, I always consider lore and rules are like, they are guidelines.
Yeah, when it comes to something like Warhammer, of how I see it, let's make a separation between the universe and the game, or the hobby-wise. For something like the lore, we can have these huge library of books, have these like grand mythos, because that's how I see Warhammer. It's its own little mythology. Yet when it comes to hobby, you can be as liberal as you want. If you want to do like mix and match 40K with fantasy AOS stuff, then go right at it. If you want to make your own little, if you want to do your own little like Tau AOS faction, then go for it. You'll probably make something really cool.
But I do want like a crossover between 30K and 40K with like basically, I play AdMac, okay? I play AdMac. I want a more crossover, like the old AdMac stuff, the Mechanicum, having some of their technology transferred into 40K, because that's what Mechanicus do. They preserve technology in some capacity.
And in the case of Battlestar, it's called create a whole new breed of Space Marines.
I mean, okay, so like the call stuff, I don't mind. Like, I genuinely don't mind because by that point in edition, like, Space Marine kind of look weird. To be completely honest, they look squat. They look spotty.
Yeah.
The poses aren't really good. They are like just a smidge taller than a normal human. They don't look like this, living demigod that we have at the moment. They look like your average Joe with a power armor. Like we're in a Fallout universe.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like, I'm not like, don't get me wrong. Like, my avatar is a Primaris Space Marine. Like, I definitely like the Primaris stuff. Like, I'm not the kind of person who just hates just for hating, It's like, I've always liked them when they came out. Because they sort of did remind me of Mark IV power armor of Space Marines, considering their helmet design.
Yeah.
It's just more like a nitpick for how about Battlestar could able to hide these Space Marines away for 10,000 years and never once deciding maybe we should use them in this certain situation. That's all I can say for a nitpick. But it's not like he just snapped his fingers and he created new Space Marines. I understand that. It took him like 10,000 years to do this. So it's not like a Mary Sue or anything.
It's basically like an upgrade. It's a small upgrade. It's not much.
Yeah, exactly. He just took the gear work that the Emperor and others have created and just did a little twinking here and there. But he didn't add like new gears or anything like that. Yeah,
like my biggest issue with Call is that he plastered his name everywhere. Like, I get that that's just what tech priests do, but oh my god, it's obnoxious at times.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. What happened?
No, I'm just like having issues with like Call, because Call puts everything with his name. Call pattern this, Belisarius this. Oh my god, like, I know he got an ego larger than Mars, but,
Yeah,
Like GW, you could make this like a bit more interesting for the rest of us.
yeah, that's what Egomania would do. If you really like your name that much.
Yes, but like GW could have like put other people in it. I don't know, like he found it like all right,
Mhm.
he is like Carl is an egomaniac, but the GW could like do a bit more like lore building. It is 100 years after, because it's like 100 years plus after Indomitus Crusade, technically.
Oh, are we talking about his origins?
No, the current situation of the universe.
Yeah, the
Is
Indominus
it
stuff.
still in Indomitus Crusade? Yeah, because there's a lot of people involved in Indomitus Crusade.
Mhm.
There will be a lot more people like pitching in.
Yeah, and I think that's something the book series will touch upon when the series goes on.
Yeah.
Though to be honest, I've read the first Indominus book, it's called the Dawn of Fire series, but it is about the Indominus Crusade.
Oh, it's not the first Indomitus Crusade, the one that basically got that gone.
Oh, sorry.
You're right. The 8th edition novel, the 8th edition opening novel.
8th edition, Dark Imperium.
Yeah, Dark Imperium. Like, do you remember the novel? Like, of how much it differs between that book and the new book? It basically like rewrites itself.
Oh, there's that big of a difference?
Yeah, it is.
Because I haven't read it
There
yet.
is a lot of difference between that.
Oh,
Yeah, because it's basically like we're now stepping back in time.
Wow.
We're basically stepping back in time
Well,
because of how badly that was like. Yeah, because Dark Imperium is after Indomitus Crusade.
yeah.
And we are now back in time to Indomitus Crusade for like the current lore.
Yeah, I guess they realized that they had some material to fill in, so why not do a book series on that, I guess. But if one person mess up, they'll have to change.
Book series.
Hmm?
It's not just a book series, it's the whole universe. Like the current assault intercessors,
Mhm.
they are like we are currently the universe is still in Indomitus Crusade.
Oh,
They're literally just dialing the time back.
Oh, I see where you're saying now. Yeah. I guess they had to go back a bit to fulfill the blank spots they left out. Oops.
Yeah, because it was a massive blank spot. Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a cough. But yeah, what I will say about the first Dawn of Fire series, because the first book is an okay read, but I don't think it has my interest to continue on. I'm just not interested. Like I don't hate it.
I pretty much don't read. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, unfortunately I don't really read like most Space Marine books.
but with that, I think we've reached a good point where I can ask you some questions that people have asked us. Is that okay?
Yeah, that is okay. That is okay.
Awesome. So, first question on the list: which Imperial Guard regiment is most underrated, and why is it the Athonian Tunnel Rats? I think that's how you call it, or say the name.
No, it's Attilan Rough Riders because they have horses. Look, I don't really like my horses. Okay, I really like horses.
Who doesn't like horses?
Like cavalry. Like I my mods is usually like mad at me because whenever I play 40k, I usually go with all cavalry army. It's a shame that we don't have Rough Riders anymore.
we do need a commissar on a horse because I'll make an epic scene.
We used to have Kommissar on a horse. It got legend.
Yeah. Also, I think from Forge World you can get a commissar on a horse, right?
Yeah, that is legend. That is put in the legend.
Yeah, when Warhammer Fantasy comes back and they do the Wayne Hussars as malls, that's something. I'm probably going to make an army of just Wayne Hussars just so I can play Sabaton.
Yeah.
Then the Wayne Hussars arrived.
Like my AOS army, like I know a lot of people who played AOS with me knows that my army has one thing in common. They all have, the majority of them are horses. Oh my god, yeah. Vanguard army, as well as like.
Oh, and now what army do you play?
I do have some OBR, also like Bone Reaper, but I'm making them into horses. I'm just making them into a centaur, a Skitar centaur. AOS for me is a giant pitch box.
Yeah.
I mainly use them for like bits.
And what's definitely cool is that you can take like the sand from the AOS box and then mix it with the 40k stuff. People can make I'm sorry, people can make some really sick combinations with that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can easily make a Fulgur model out of Morathi.
Morathi as well as Sigvald.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But
Sigvald as Sigvald spare ass. Really nice.
If Sigvald could show his ass, then Lilith can wear a bikini, guys. Come on.
Yeah. No, here's the thing though. She's in 40k. Sigvald is in AOS. There's a difference.
But why doesn't it be a difference? It's like if one guy can show his ass, why can't the elf do it?
Daughter of Cain is basically fighting like barely wearing anything.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something
that's in AOS. That's why I say it. It's because they are in AOS and not 40k. You want your battle tongues? Go AOS. Unfortunately.
It's like I hear so many people rant and rave about this rebel armor, saying, "Oh, that's so impractical." Yet, guys, look at the elves from Daughters of Cain. They're basically wearing less than the sisters.
Yep. Speaking about sisters, though, like speaking about the new sculpt, I really don't like the Repentia, the new Repentia.
Yeah.
They look like they're in gym shorts for some reason. They look like they're in an aerobic session.
It looks like they're wearing a potato sack. From what I see.
No, because it just reminds me of like, the old 80s aerobic session, but now with an additional chain sword. They don't look like they are repenting for something. as well as wearing a potato sack on their heads. Meanwhile, like the old one used to have like tabards.
It's like
they seem grimdark, but now they just look like, we are like exercising with a chain sword, with an eviscerator. I'm sorry, people are going to like mad at me for like saying it's a chain sword. No, it's an eviscerator, technically.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear anyone say that the old Repentia were impractical because, like, guys, what in 40k is practical?
Nothing.
Exactly. If 40k,
you're looking for something practical, you're in the wrong universe.
Yeah, because for 40k, if 40k was practical, then we would get none of the cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
we wouldn't have knights. We wouldn't have titans.
We wouldn't have chain swords.
We wouldn't have chain swords. We wouldn't have like bolters.
No bolters. No bright color uniforms, because when it comes to trench warfare, that you're going to be easily shot. In fact, Space Marines.
Exactly.
In fact, Space Marines aren't even practical from a video I saw once, because imagine spending 17 years creating a Space Marine and he goes into battlefield as a scout and he's in front lines too. And he stepped on a mine.
Yep. Like rule of cool is like if you want to like dissect Warhammer, use the rule of cool. If it looks cool, yes, it fits in. If it doesn't look cool, maybe it doesn't fit in.
Yeah, because that's the only sort of rule that Warhammer should follow, both 40k and AOS. If the idea sounds cool, then it exists. And
Yes.
and if it doesn't, they'll just write it out like the squads.
Squads still exist, okay? Squads still exist. I really hate like people like still using the term squatting, because we know that they still exist. They aren't in great number, but they're like a minor. It's just like people like I don't know. I just feel like people like, oh yes, squad doesn't exist. Like, it's just like people saying that the Hrak doesn't exist because we don't have models for them. But no, they exist in the lore.
Oh yeah, like definitely, especially from I think it was the last book of Psychic Awakening, where they had this little bit of text where a tech priest would say, "It's a squat," then it cuts out.
We still have squads in Necromunda. Okay, we still have squads in Necromunda. They're still there.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's like I'm not saying that they don't exist or anything like that. Like,
but you know, like the community. I don't know, like I think the community just is, they thrive on like beating dead horses. Sometimes. I've been hearing the same joke since the good days of TG. Before TG went to shit. So like during the collect days, like 2008. So yeah, like it's the same joke from 2007, 2008 until now. Like, guys, it's been 13, 14 years. We need different jokes.
Come up with better material. But
yeah, come up with new material. I was a teenager back then. I'm now like a proper adult. Give me new material.
But anyways, moving on with some of these questions. Concerning your work in the 82K, I can't pronounce this for some reason. I'm stupid that way. A second K, that's probably how you pronounce it. Mod for your Arma 3. Have you ever tried to get your original character, Kommissar Azura, Hectford in the mod? I think he's referencing to a game.
No.
Arma 3?
Oh yeah, that's for my Arma 3 mod. Yeah, here's the thing though. Female models, it's really, because it will require female models, and female models are kinda hard to like do in Arma. There are female model mods in Arma, like, but I have to I have to do the hair, I have to do the head, I have to do the whole physics thingamajig. There's some point where it was like, yeah, this is just too much. Yeah, that's why I feel like, oh my god, I'm not gonna work on this.
Oh yeah, I can definitely understand.
Like I have a lot of ideas for like what to do. Like oh yeah, I want to do this, and this. Like there are I keep books of like ideas to put into the IOW. Most of them aren't exactly possible. Like there's no one that is going to be able to program them.
Oh yeah, I can understand that, and I can imagine how difficult it is to create something with a 3D mold. I can understand that.
And it's Arma. Everything is worse.
Yeah.
Because it's in Arma. I have to because Arma is using like a really old engine. Like they just refurbish the top layer of it, but it's a nightmare. let's just say it's a nightmare to work, because if you are like using newer stuff like Unity or like Unreal, changing the models is easy peasy. Wouldn't even like take a day. with Arma, oh no, it's going to take weeks.
Mhm.
Or like the Space Marine, we have Space Marine in Arma 3, and I think it took Panzer like a year
Oh,
of like configuring like how to make it work, and the
Yeah.
technology was only unlocked like a few years ago,
Hmm.
because back then nobody know how to do that.
yeah. With what you tell me, yeah, it does sound like a little tricky thing to do. And
A pain in the ass. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
yeah, if
And it's very buggy. It's extremely buggy. Let's just say that.
well, that is quite interesting, and you learn something new every day. Yeah, but same guy. But second question: you have stated before that you took inspiration from Salexus. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce a person's name.
Oh, Mr. Plexus. Yeah.
For
Uh,
for the design of Azura. Is there anything else that influenced it?
Okay, so
Sorry
I
if
think
I
I was
interrupted.
inspired by. Yeah, no, I think I was inspired by what's that anime? Okay, so like I joke around that Azura is Nobu from FGO a lot, but she's actually designed like a year before Nobu, but it was inspired by a different Nobunaga from an anime. Oda Nobunaga no Yabo. Yes, that's what called Oda Nobunaga no Yabo. I think was combination of Oda Nobunaga no Yabo as well as Kommissar Azura from Plexus, combined with a bit of Yarek as well as Kaifa's game. So it's quite a lot of inspiration for Azura when designing her, as well as Shirono Sukaima Luis. Yeah, I do watch a lot of anime. It's pretty normal here, I would say. Like even back then, as well as Shirono Sukaima. I think I'm most inspired by her from the fan fictions, because back then I used to read a lot of fan fictions of Warhammer, like Warhammer crossover fan fictions. They're always fun.
Yeah, Dusky is writing like a library of fan fiction on her own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, messages for dad.
Yes, but I usually prefer crossover because sometimes you get really stupid stuff.
Mhm.
Like what if a Space Marine is summoned into a universe, like an isekai? Something like that. That's usually fun. And this is from before isekai was really a big thing.
Yeah, I've done something like, I guess you could call it fan fiction, because I've done a video where I asked the question, what would happen if I took a Gene Stealer and dropped it in AOS? And with that, I made Gene Stealer called Skaven. That was a fun video to make, though. It took me a little while to record it. And by the end of the day, my voice was dying.
Mm-hmm.
But
I understand that. No, I was trying to say that, like theory crafting is really fun. Like because Warhammer is such a fake universe. Like with both AOS as well as 40K, like the universe are so fake and so big. Like you can do like fan fiction and it wouldn't interrupt the whole mythos. Like you can make the most lore breaking stuff, but if it's just like a chapter or like a planet, everything is still contained within that planet. Or that's or like that small system. It doesn't affect anywhere else.
And you can definitely do things like your own Primarchs, because Games Workshop has that availability, because there's the 2 Lost Primarchs, so why not create your own stuff?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they made them missing, so that the fans could create their own stuff. Not really a lore, not really a lore reason, but just because they wanted that accessibility for fans to create their own stuff.
Yeah, that's why I was like kind of miffed when they did put the 2nd and 11th Legion, like they basically like this, like what happened to them? Like, come on, guys, no.
Oh, has there been more information? Because I'm not far into the Horus Heresy books, but from what I understand, there's like the Lost and the Damned. So from this, you can create your own like Loyalist Primarch or your own Traitor Primarch. But has there been anything else? Because I think I stopped by Fly of the Eisenstein.
I think it's basically like why they were dead. Like they are teasing like, oh yeah, like the route, because like Space Wolves were called the route because they killed one of them, and the other was like got wiped by Xenos, basically.
I can see that, but it's not like they officially say, yes, the insert name Legion or anything like that.
No, they won't do that. But
no.
It's for myself, it's a bit. They are really tiptoeing that fine line.
It's something like, okay, it's like telling the writer, I'm sure you're having fun, but just be careful of not crossing a line of what fans can create or not, because that's why they're missing. So fans could create their own stuff. There's no real universe reason.
Yeah, but I don't think GW is like currently in the mood for like allowing fans to create their stuff. in my for at least for like model stuff, for like models. Because if you look of how much they differ, like the amount of like flexibility you can do with your models nowadays is like lower, like way lower than you used to be able to.
Oh yeah, like we're talking about like third party stuff. Then yeah, I understand.
Not third party. I'm not talking about third party. I'm talking about within GW itself. Like look into I guess the newer primaries.
From what you can build with them.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking about like how you can convert stuff, then yeah, I would say you would have to use a lot of.
Yeah, conversion is really a lot more. Like it takes a lot more skill than it used to.
Oh, yeah, I definitely see that. Like you would have to get like I can't say the name right now, but it's a green sort of like pastry kind of stuff where you green stuff. Yeah, that's literally what it's called. Yeah, where you have to be very creative with some green stuff in order to do some good conversions. Yeah, I definitely see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like meanwhile back then you could do like a good enough job with just like cutting things or like using a saw and sticking things.
But anyways, last question for the show. I want to know, what is your favorite Primarch and Legion? Also, what do you guys think of the Primary Space Marines?
Okay, so what is my favorite Primarch? I don't know. So like with Space Marines, I'm not a fan of Space Marine at all.
Yeah, it's obvious.
I know my but I will say Ferrus Manus, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Hey yo.
Ferrus Manus, the name. Ferrus Manus, who has iron hands, who leads a chapter called the Iron Hands, who has the flagship called the Iron Hand.
Yes, but don't get ahead of yours. Don't get ahead. Don't get ahead of yourself. Because he lost his head.
like Space Wolves naming everything after wolf, like the wolf term, the wolf lord and his wolf priest talk about the wolf times.
Oh yeah. It used to not be that way though. I still remember the old lore for like Space Wolf. They used to be like a bit more tamer than that. They didn't used to like stick wolf into everything.
Yeah, they were a lot more Viking than.
Yeah.
G-dubs, Vikings aren't just wolves. Understand that. They're not furries.
I mean, we do have bear the fell-handed.
Oh, sorry?
No, bear the fell-handed. No, Bjorn. Bjorn means bear.
Oh. Of course it does. But for me, though, I'm probably going to get crucified for this, but I am right. The best Primarch is Gilliman. Because after all, Ultramarines are the greatest of them all.
I don't know. I do like Gilliman. Like the way he's been written nowadays, it's good. I would say he is like is a charismatic leader. He doesn't. He actually do stuff most of the time. Except for like Imperium Secondus thing, because that was written before that, like years ago.
Like, I haven't read 30K Gilliman, so I wouldn't know the difference, but it was exciting news when 8th edition was coming around and Gilliman was revealed to be a Maul. That was an exciting time.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, like I joke around like the 8th edition when Gilliman was talking to the Emperor. I was like, oh yeah, isn't this like TTS? Like for the whole like 8th edition, like I basically told my girlfriend like, yeah, this is just TTS. They made it canon. The Emperor talked to Gilliman talked to the Emperor. This is like alternate universe of TTS.
Yeah, and I would bet when he would wake up, he'd be like, "Wait, you guys do what? You do what? You blow up a planet because somebody summoned a demon by mistake? What are you doing?"
Yeah, that's pretty. Isn't that like basically what the Emperor in TTS do? Like it's like a constant of what? And like the steps improved by Gilliman for the whole Imperium, like this is just TTS.
Yeah.
like the whole thing, that's what saddens me about TTS not going to be like the Alpha Busa is making it indefinitely hiatus.
Yeah.
Because like 8th edition was TTS but canon. like the whole I just like, at least in my opinion, like I don't know if like Alpha Busa agrees with me on this one, but as a fan, I'm just looking into it like, oh yeah, this just feels like TTS.
I believe you, and
because after Gilliman was back, you know who else do that shit? Custodes. Custodes actually do shit now after committing Gilliman, just like a certain just like in DTS.
though it's disappointing that we didn't get to see the risque side of the Custodes on the tabletop. That was disappointing.
No, I don't think that's canon anymore. Because,
come on.
I think it's based. No, I think it because like 40K. I would consider that it to be like a rumor. I won't say that's not canon, but like an in-universe rumor, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I don't know.
Oh, I remember.
I'm just.
Oh, sorry. I remember.
I just want to say that we need more Mechanicus novel, okay?
Oh yeah, of course.
We need more shit about Mechanicus because there's literally on like outside of 30K with Pilot Succession or like a couple of other books. In 40K, we only have like 3 books, more or less, like 3 novels.
Well, Belisarius Call has his own book, and it has space.
I wouldn't say Belisarius Skull is like pure Mechanicus novel. Okay.
Well, yeah,
It's a Belisarius Skull book. It's not a wider Mechanicus book.
but he's Mechanicus character, so. But he's Mechanicus character, so when that counts, because technically a Marius Calgar book would be a Space Marine book, because he's a Space Marine.
Ultramarine book. No, he's an Ultramarine book. It's an Ultramarine book for Marius Calgar.
Ultramarines will be their own thing. There are Space Marines and there's Ultramarines.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why they're great.
I do feel like Keto Sicaris had been better written nowadays.
Yeah. Hi, Catholic Sicaris.
Yeah, like that. He used to be like an annoying little shit.
Even more annoying than TTS Sicarius.
No, like TTS Keto Sicaris is like a parody of it.
Yeah.
Of how the community like sees Keto Sicaris, but he used to like, he's the best of them all. Like no one ever was.
Oh yeah, because I definitely see. I see the difference between. I definitely see where you're going at, because in the Dark Imperium books, or at least the first draft of the Dark Imperium books, before they got their before they got the 0.5 edition, I'm going to call them that. There is the Cato Sicarius in those books. I found very interesting character, and because that was my first real exposure to the character. But because I haven't read something from Matt Ward yet, so I wouldn't know how he was like in those books. I know
it's quite something, but it just feels like a power fantasy character.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, because there's a difference between like a properly written character from like a hero's journey compared to like power fantasy.
Yeah, I definitely see that with him now. He does seem to have like an actual hero's journey going on, because especially the Dark Imperium book, because his time within the warp and all that.
Yeah, he got PTSD now. He got Vietnam fat. he lost the Afghan war.
But with all that, I think we've reached the end of the show. Is there anything you'd like to say before we call it an end?
Yes, I do have something to say. Go to the Infinite and the Defying. It's a really good book.
Yeah,
I know a certain Lego man would agree with you. See.
It does look like a fun book, and I'll definitely have to pick it up sometime. Because I hear a lot of great things about it.
Yes, it's incredible. I know Steve would recommend it.
But with all said and done, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all again next week with a brand new video. And thank you, Azura, for coming on.
Yep. Thank you very much for having me. Bye-bye.
No problem. Thank you so much. See you around, everyone.